Chapter 16. Hybrids. After the encounter, they all went back in, but Bethany deemed the living room wasn't safe enough for this upcoming conversation, so Randolph led them into their meeting room. "So, what's the super important things you wanted to tell us, Josh?" Bethany said and crossed her arms. Joseph sighed.
"So you know about werewolves now. That's good. Made my job easier."
Joseph crossed the room and plopped onto a nearby sofa. "What job?" Bethany said, and they all find a place to sit.
Have you ever wondered why Dad only wanted me to spy on the vampires when you two have more experience?
Joseph said, looking at them from under his lashes.
Because we suck at undercovering.
Sebastian said. Joseph shrugged with a tiny smirk.
That's one of it, but it's also because of my heritage.
Randolph leaned in closer.
What heritage? Something other than being a red wolf?
Joseph looked grave.
Yes.
He leaned back and looked straight into their eyes.
My mother was a vampire.
Bethany was startled. What? He exchanged looks with Sebastian. Sherlyn wasn't a human?
Nope. Mom never was. I only found out when I overheard Dad's conversation with another vampire.
Bethany leaned back and rubbed her face with her hand. Things just get weirder and weirder. So what, you're a half-breed? Ramona asked.
A hybrid will be a correct term for the likes of me.
Sebastian looked at Joseph when he recalled something.
So that night, it wasn't an accident she fell into our backyard? It wasn't. Dad and Mom were mates. She smelled him, followed his scent, and fell into the front yard.
Randolph furrowed his brow.
But it's rare that werewolves and vampires pairs actually got together, let alone having a child together.
Why's that? Bethany asked.
Because it's dangerous. The old generation of vampires hate dirtying their pure vampire blood, so they either kill...
Randolph turned to Joseph, realization sipping into his mind.
I'm so sorry.
Sebastian looked confused.
Why are you apologizing?
Joseph sighed.
Mom's a noble-born vampire. Those nobles hate dirtying their bloodline more than the usual vampires. When they found out that my parents were mates...
They killed her, Bethany finished. Joseph nodded. Both Bethany and Sebastian stood up and walked to Joseph's sofa. They sat at each side and hugged him.
I'm fine,
Joseph whispered.
We know, just double-checking.
Sebastian mused. But why didn't he tell us? Bethany asked.
He thought ignorance is the best way to protect you two. He said the less you know, the better. He also said something about you two being the prophecy children increases the amount of danger you two will attract, so he cut ties with everyone, making them believe the king and queen along with the prophecy children were murdered and that Dad died trying to save them.
How many hybrids are out there? Ramona asked. Joseph shook his head.
From what I've gathered, 2 including me. Okay, that's all the important stuff I wanted to say. So, any question? Yeah, what's with the accent? Sebastian
asked. Joseph opened his mouth, then closed it. He shrugged.
Honestly, I don't know. They speak like this in the castle, so obviously I have to blend in too, and I think after so long, it kinda stuck with me now.
Wait, back up. Ramona furrowed her brows. You said that Bethany and Sebastian had more experience than you. Experience in what exactly?
Oh.
He turned to look at Bethany and Sebastian.
You didn't tell them?
Seeing their face, they probably didn't.
Oh, this is going to be good.
He grinned as he leaned back. He snapped his fingers and a bowl of popcorn appeared in his hands.
Bethany? Sebastian? What are you not telling us?
Randolph asked. Bethany and Sebastian looked unsure.
Just tell them.
They snapped their heads towards Joseph, who was chewing on a popcorn.
They're gonna know sooner or later. Better you tell them first instead of them finding out to avoid conflict between you mates.
He grinned. Sebastian, who was closest to Joseph, grabbed a fistful of popcorn and threw at him. Bethany sighed as she sat on the chair beside Randolph. Where do I start?
The beginning. Duh.
Joseph said while cleaning popcorn out of his hair. As a result, Sebastian stuffed popcorn into his mouth.
Shut up and eat your popcorn, kid.
Beside Sebastian, Ramona giggled. Joseph glared at Sebastian while chewing his mouth full of popcorn. Bethany sighed at them before starting her story. As you know, our parents died when we were young, so we were raised by our uncle. Harry was a warrior wolf before he hid with us for our safety. It's normal for him to train us in his ways.
I don't see where this is going.
We're assassins, Randolph.
Good one, though.
Joseph helped. Not helping, Bethany sighed.
Wait, so you kill people? Bad people? Yes, bad people. Harry only accepts jobs on bad people, but not the recent one. Heck, until now, I still don't know why he took it.
Sebastian said with a sigh. What? Ramona asked.
Have you ever wondered why we came here in the first place?
There was a pregnant pause, then both Randolph and Ramona's eyes widened.
Yes, we were sent here on a mission.
A mission to kill you. Both of you. Randolph and Ramona was shocked. Then if they are still here, then...
Are you still going to go?
Randolph asked softly. Bethany snapped her head up to meet Randolph's eyes. You crazy? Of course not. I'll be stupid to do that. She growled protectively.
Got that right.
Sebastian added as he slung his arms around Ramona's shoulder. That's good to hear then. Ramona grinned and kissed Sebastian on the cheek.
Wait, how are you guys taking it in so easily?
Joseph asked.
Well, we're werewolves. We weren't supposed to exist in the first place since they didn't want to kill us anymore. I don't see why we need to dwell on it.
Randolph said, hugging Bethany closer to him.
You guys are weird.
Then he saw Sebastian and Ramona kissing.
Ew, keep it PG. There's a minor here.
Joseph gagged.
Minor? You look like you're the same age as us. Well,
Joseph grunted as he stood up, popcorn nowhere to be seen.
perks of being a hybrid. We age differently than normal werewolves and vampires. We have a rapid growth sprout, then it pauses at a certain age, and we start to grow normally. Weird, I know.
He grinned. Is it me, or your cousin is somehow evil? Ramona asked. Sebastian huffed.
He's always evil.
Then Bethany remembered something. Harry's been captured, and we need your help with finding him. Bethany handed Joseph the pictures they took in their old home.
Don't worry about that old man's whereabout. I know where he is.
Joseph said as he took the phone from Bethany. You know where Harry is?
Indeed I do. He's currently captured by the higher-ups, destroying them from the inside.
He did a quote mark with his fingers in the air and sighed. While swiping through the phone, Joseph's jaw was clenching at every picture. He looked up with unspeakable rage and a tiny bit of fear.
Where did you find them?
Back at home.
We've miscalculated. Can't believe they actually sent them. Them? Who's them?
Randolph asked.
They're hybrids. What? But I thought you said there's only 2 hybrids, including you. These
Randolph pointed at the pictures.
are hell a lot. Yes, but through love. Like the normal process of having a baby, these
Joseph waved at the pictures.
things are just mindless vessels of a crazy experiment to make.
The perfect killing machine. Bethany guessed. Joseph nodded.
But what for?
Sebastian asked.
For war, dear cousin, for war. Like werewolves, there are good and bad vampires. The good ones want to maintain the balance between werewolves and vampires. Then there are the bad ones who want to annihilate all werewolves for their new pure vampire world. Disgusting bloodsuckers remind me of Voldemort and his Death Eaters with their delusional
Bethany cleared her throat. You're getting off topic, Joseph.
Right. Well, nobody knows about this experiment except for the higher-ups. It was ordered by the king a few years ago. So have you seen Logan, the movie?
Joseph.
No, I'm not off topic this time. Those 2 things are related.
Joseph defends himself.
So? Have you watched it before? Who haven't?
Randolph said.
Well, in the movie, there's this part where they explain how Laura was made. Well, the malfunction hybrids are made the same way. They take some random vampire's blood, mix with some other weird shit, and inject it into the female werewolves. You know where. They always use werewolves as their guinea pigs, never vampires. If you're following the movie, then...
Sebastian trailed off as the Stoner twins growled.
Yes, no one werewolves that went through that experiment ever survived. It's logical that they don't use their own kin, and that's what one of those traitors said when I interrogate them, but...
What? Bethany asked. Joseph took a deep breath, holding in his temper.
I've seen some of them dragging homeless vampires, female vampires, with them thrashing and fighting against their captors.
Joseph grinned wickedly.
I saved them, of course, but there was this weird thing happened. Some of the females I spied went with them willingly.
Bethany's mind spun at that. She encountered this kind of situation before, but when?
That led to me guessing that's how they got all those werewolves, causing it impossible to capture a werewolf in their wolf form. Even if they succeed in that, but that doesn't mean they will let you do experiment on them. And your guess?
Sebastian asked.
Mind control.
Mind control? Is that even possible? Ramona asked, brows furrowed.
Yes, only one thing came to mind from this guess.
He looked at Ramona with hard eyes.
They have the other hybrid. A normal hybrid without chemicals. Normal hybrids have special power. For example,
Snapped his fingers and a cookie appeared in his hand.
I can't make things appear before me if I imagine it, but only small things though, since it takes hell a lot of energy.
With another snap, it was gone. But how is that possible? They killed every vampire and their children if they tarnished the pure-blood vampire line.
Well, it's either that or they kidnapped him or her from a family like mine, then brainwashed them.
Joseph sneered.
Those bastards.
Bethany snapped her fingers then. I remember now. There's this one time when we were under attack, something strange happened to a dying rogue. It was like he was fighting with something mentally before he thanked me.
Strange indeed. This proves that they do have a mind controller on their side. If that's really true, then we have to make a plan.
Randolph said determinedly. Their planning had later drawn to a stop when they realized day had fallen and night's rising. Joseph, who had traveled here without sleep, was out cold on the sofa, snoring softly. Both Sebastian and Ramona had retired back to their room as Bethany and Randolph remained. Bethany walked over to Joseph's sleeping form and draped a blanket on him. She sat at the armchair beside him and swept his fringe out of his face. She smiled gently when Joseph purred and leaned into her touch. Knowing Randolph was watching her from behind, she spoke. I haven't seen him for a very long time, you know. Last I saw him was 5 years ago. She smiled fondly down at the snoring kid, clutching her hand. He's grown.
He said that he's still a minor. How old is he actually?
I don't know, actually. I lost count since he grew so fast, but I know he's still a little boy. A boy with such big responsibility. Bethany felt Randolph picked her up gently and placed her in his lap as he settled onto the huge armchair. Randolph hugged her gently.
I'm sorry for the loss of your family. You three had to endure so much pain when you were just children.
He whispered. Bethany sighed. That was a long time ago. My only wish is that our parents and Sherlin's able to see what we've accomplished from where they are. Then she fell silent. Randolph looked down and saw she was asleep. He smiled when he saw her hand clutching his.
You two really are cousins, all right?
He made himself comfortable in the huge chair before falling asleep himself with his mate in his arms. At dawn, Joseph's eyes flung open as he whispered.
They're here.
Then a loud explosion shook the whole house awake. Randolph quickly got up, looking alert.
What's going on? They're here.
Joseph said again and ran out of the room, Bethany running after him, shouting him to wait.
Who's here?
Randolph asked himself before running out of the room himself. His gamma ran into him looking frantic.
Randolph, there you are. You weren't in the room and... Henry, calm down. What's going on?
Randolph grabbed onto Henry's shoulder. Henry took a deep breath before his eyes hardened.
You're under attack.